Hey, everybody, it's Double G for BSPN News. If you remember, this is our new show, a mini podcast under 10 minutes on news that is happening on days that we are not recording. The reason why we're doing this this morning is because Brian and I have had a little bit of a scheduling issue recording the death lineup. There's Warriors news, but we usually record Thursdays at about 5 p.m. Pacific, and the Warriors play the Clippers at 6. So we don't want to go before the game because by the time people listen, the game will already be over and we wouldn't have any information on it. So instead, we'll give you a little BSPN news this morning, and then we will schedule next week a new show. We don't usually go 2 weeks without a show, but unfortunately, that's just the way that it worked this week for our schedules. Okay, what is the update? Steph Curry. Today, the Warriors sent out some press release information that says Stephen Curry, he was recently reevaluated. He's making good progress and has recently increased his on-court workload to include scrimmaging. Curry's return to play will be based on his continued progress in response to full practice and scrimmages after missing nearly a month of game action. Now, I believe he and Andre Iguodala scrimmaged against the G League team, the Santa Cruz team, and that is probably what this is referencing. And I think yesterday or day before yesterday, when the Warriors played the Blazers, I think in the post press conference, Steve Kerr said something about reinforcements are coming. And I think he means Steph. It's very possible that he means Andre Iguodala. But what it sounds like is he does not mean Andrew Wiggins, which is quite a bummer if you've been following this story. Today, Anthony Slater, he mentioned Jordan Poole was a little bit dinged up and he's listed as probable. He has a left knee contusion. But in that tweet, he also said Andrew Wiggins will miss a 6th straight game as he deals with a family matter. Now, again, no one knows anything about this. It sounds like, they're really, really keeping this one close to the vest. And all that we can hope is for Andrew Wiggins that, things are okay with him and his family, at least to the best of what is possible. Him missing 6 games for something family related does not sound like good news, but I'm just going to hope and pray that the family and his loved ones are okay. And this is something that, personal matter or whatever, but they just need the time. No Wiggins, but there's more Warriors news. The Warriors, and if you've been keeping tabs on the situation with Anthony Lamb and with Ty Jerome, they are two-way players. There is a rule in the collective bargaining agreement that limits the number of games that two-way players can play and without being signed to a roster spot. Currently, the Warriors have 14 roster spots. They are leaving the 15th roster spot open to save some money because they are over the cap. And that 15th roster spot, even if it is for a minimum amount of NBA money, because they are taxed X number of times, that money is a lot more than any other team would have to pay. So Anthony Lamb has played in 47 games. Ty Jerome has played in 40, but has been active for 3 others, so that bumps him up to 43. The limit is 50. So how do you deal with this scenario in which Anthony Lamb only has 3 more games, Ty Jerome only has 7, but there's another wrinkle, which is because they only have 14 players on the roster instead of 15, you actually combine the two ways, and they are at already at 90 games. And that is the limit. 90 games, combining the two players, if the Warriors only have 14 players on the roster. If they had 15, the limit is 100. So how do the Warriors gimmick this little rule to give them 10 more games with either Anthony Lamb or Ty Jerome? More than likely a combination of the two. Well, you find a 15th man on the roster, but you do it in a way where it is only going to be a 10-day contract. So, Warriors fans who are keep an eye on the Santa Cruz team, Lester Quinones, it sounded like Lester Quinones had a pretty good chance of making the roster in the offseason, but he did not, and he went back to Santa Cruz and has been balling. He is the player who is signed to the 10-day contract. So just reading from Anthony Slater in Shams Charania reported, and I'll quote Anthony Slater here, if Quinones or anyone else hadn't filled the vacancy, both Jerome and Lamb would have been ineligible to play in LA. But now by adding Quinones, Lamb is cleared for 3 more games and Jerome is cleared for 7 more games. So what happens when those 10 games run out? Well, the Warriors will have to convert one of those players to the 15th person roster, and that would actually leave a 2-way spot for Quinones. So let's say the Warriors converted Lamb. Lamb would be the 15th man. He would be on the roster, and Ty Jerome would essentially, depending on how many games he has, he may still have a couple games left. But then Lester Quinones would now be the second 2-way player, and then he would have a ton of games to play. So that is how they're gimmicking the rules here, the roster rules, so that they can free up some more time before they have to make a decision. And it sounds like that decision is coming soon, though. And based on the players, like if Steph Curry comes back healthy, I imagine Anthony Lamb is going to be that 15th player, but who knows? We still need to see if and when Steph's going to play. And my guess is that with the Warriors' upcoming schedule, so like I said, they're playing the Clippers later tonight, and the rest of the schedule after that Clippers game is the Pelicans on Friday, and then the Lakers again on Sunday. The Warriors owe the Lakers big time here. And from what I understand, they are looking at the beginning of the road trip as a possible timeline for Steph. So Sunday they play the Lakers, then Tuesday they would play the Thunder, Thursday Grizzlies, and these are all away games. And it sounds like Steph has a possibility to play in that window there before the Warriors come home on March 11th against the Bucks. All right, what is the small piece of 49ers news here? Well, if you listen to We Want Winners on Sunday night, Monday morning, whenever you listened, you would have heard myself and Roderick Adams talk about Mike McGlinchey. We were kind of wondering, what is the deal with McGlinchey? Is he coming back to the 49ers? He is their one of their bigger dollar free agents who is available. And Roderick was talking about how if McGlinchey would sign at that 15 million mark, that he thought the 49ers would have had to do it. Now he looked at Spot Track, which is a website that gives you salary information, but also puts together some good comparisons. And they compared the players who would sort of fit what McGlinchey is as an NFL tackle, and they averaged out those salaries, and the average for what McGlinchey is probably worth. That doesn't mean what he's going to get paid, but he's probably worth around $17 million. And the question is if the 49ers would go that high to bring him back. I know a lot of fans would be a little frustrated if they did that, but it's not like you just find tackles just off the street who are play at a decent level. And look, they are a running team, right? As much frustration as you may have with McGlinchey as a pass blocker, they are still predominantly a running team, and that's where his strength is. So that is a decision they will have to make, and we will see what happens there. As far as the Giants are concerned, they're in spring training. Nothing much to update. If you listen to Brad and I on the last Thompson to Clark, you heard some of the players that we're kind of interested in checking out and who we're keeping an eye on. And that's going to, that's what spring training is about. You get to check out who's fun, and who, Brett Wisely was my person who I'm kind of keeping an eye on. I'm also we'll bring this up in the next episode, I think, but I love the idea of a Lamont Wade Jr. bounce back season. That's kind of what I'm targeting for the offense. Okay. Thank you for listening to BSPN News. Hope you get a little bit of Phil, get a little bit of Warriors news, 49ers news. We'll be back next Monday, more than likely. I think Monday probably, for a new episode of Thompson to Clark. And Brian and I, we will have a show next week. We just kind of sort of figure out the schedule. So, all right. Thank you for listening to We Want Winners, to BSPN News. Thanks for listening. Peace out.